He was already late when it happened. The doors to the boardroom were open, voices waiting inside, power hanging in the air. Then a small hand pressed flat against the glass. A young black girl looked up at him and said something so quiet, so precise that his body went still. For the first time in decades, he could not move. Before we go any further, if stories about real people, quiet courage, and moments that change lives mean something to you, this is Sage Stories. Take a second to subscribe, tap like if this story touches you, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here, and these stories grow stronger when they're shared. The building stood in the middle of downtown like it had always been, there and always would be. Steel, glass, clean lines, security desks polished to a shine. It was the kind of place where footsteps sounded important, and everyone walked like they had somewhere crucial to be. That morning, the lobby buzzed with low conversations and the soft chime of elevators opening and closing. People in tailored suits checked their watches. Assistants whispered into phones. The board meeting upstairs was supposed to start in 3 minutes. The man everyone was waiting for had not planned on being late. He never was. His name carried weight in this city and far beyond it. He had built companies from nothing, turned small ideas into billion-dollar realities. His face appeared in magazines, on conference stages, sometimes on the evening news when markets shifted because of a decision he made. People described him as disciplined, sharp, impossible to distract. He liked that reputation. It felt earned. As he crossed the lobby, his mind was already upstairs, moving through numbers, strategy, the argument he expected to win before lunch. He barely noticed the security guard nodding at him, barely heard his assistant trying to catch up, reminding him of one last document to review. His hand reached for the glass doors leading to the executive wing without hesitation. That was when the girl stepped forward. She could not have been more than 11 or 12. Her backpack hung loose on one shoulder, frayed at the edges. She wore a navy blue school sweater, slightly too big. The sleeves pulled over her hands. Her hair was braided carefully, neat and intentional, like someone had taken time that morning to make sure she looked right before leaving home. She did not shout. She did not grab him. She simply placed her hand on the door at the same time he did and looked up. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice steady but soft. "You can't go in yet." He looked down, irritation flickering for just a second. Security breaches annoyed him. Delays annoyed him. Children wandering corporate buildings annoyed him. He opened his mouth to say something sharp, something efficient, something that would end the interruption. Then she said his name. Not the version the media used. Not the shortened brand name version printed on buildings. She said his full name, the way it sounded when spoken by someone who knew its history, the way his mother used to say it when she wanted his attention. And then she added 7 words that made his chest tighten. "My mama told me to find you." The lobby noise faded into something distant and dull. His assistant stopped mid-sentence. The security guard shifted, unsure. The man felt a strange pressure behind his eyes, a sensation he had not felt in years. He asked her where her mother was. The girl glanced toward the seating area near the windows. A woman sat there, hands folded tightly in her lap. She stood as soon as their eyes met, uncertainty written across her face. She was dressed plainly, like she had come straight from a long shift somewhere. There was tiredness in her posture, but also resolve. The billionaire turned to his assistant and told her to delay the meeting. "Just 10 minutes, he said. His voice surprised even him. It was lower, slower. The girl walked beside him as they crossed the lobby. Her steps were small but confident. She had practiced this moment in her head, he could tell. When they reached the chairs by the window, the woman stood fully now, smoothing her sweater, her eyes searching his face for something she wasn't sure she would find. "Thank you for stopping," she said quietly. "I know you're busy." He nodded, suddenly unsure of what to say. He asked her how she knew his name. She swallowed, then explained that she used to work at one of his manufacturing plants years ago, back when she was younger. Back when she believed that hard work would always be enough. She told him about the layoffs that came without warning, about the way the plant closed and the town around it slowly followed. She told him about her husband leaving soon after. The pressure too much, the silence too heavy. She spoke without accusation, without drama. Just facts, just life. The girl listened, eyes fixed on her mother, absorbing every word. This was not the first time she had heard this story. It was the first time she had watched someone powerful listen. The woman explained that her daughter had been selected for a school leadership program downtown, a chance to shadow professionals, to see worlds she had only read about. When the schedule said they would visit this building, the girl had gone quiet. Then she had asked one question. "Is that the same company?" Her mother nodded, and the girl made a decision that surprised them both. She told him that her mama always said you never know who's listening, and you never know who might help if you speak clearly and with respect. She said she wanted him to know what happened to them, not to blame him, just so he would know. The billionaire felt something shift in him, something uncomfortable and necessary. He had approved the restructuring that closed that plant. On paper, it made sense. The numbers worked. The reports were clean, but paper had never shown him this woman's tired eyes or this girl's careful bravery. He asked the girl what she wanted to be when she grew up. She shrugged, then smiled a little. A lawyer, maybe, or someone who makes rules fair, someone who listens before deciding. He laughed softly at that, not out of humor but recognition. He told her those were good ambitions. Important ones. His assistant returned, anxious, whispering that the board was waiting. He nodded again, then surprised everyone, including himself. "Would you like to come upstairs with me?" he asked the mother. "Not into the meeting, just to see where decisions get made." The woman hesitated, then agreed. The girl's eyes widened as they stepped into the elevator, mirrors reflecting three lives that rarely shared the same space. Upstairs, the hallway was quiet, carpet-absorbing sound. He pointed out the boardroom doors, heavy and closed now, and explained what happened inside. He talked about responsibility, about consequences, about how sometimes people forgot that numbers were attached to names and families. The girl listened closely, asking questions that cut through jargon without trying. Why didn't anyone come back to check on the town? Why didn't they help people find new work? Why did it take a kid stopping you to hear this? He did not have clean answers, so he gave her honest ones. The 10 minutes stretched into 20. The board waited. For once, the world did not end. Before they left, he gave the woman his card. Not the public office line, but the private one. He told her to call him. He meant it. When he finally entered the boardroom, the energy shifted immediately. He was different, quieter, focused in a new way. When discussions turned to expansion and cuts, he asked questions that had never been asked before. Who lived there? What happened after? How would this affect children who had nothing to do with our margins? Some executives were confused. Some were uncomfortable, but they listened because he was listening first. Weeks later, the woman got a call, then another. Programs were reviewed, communities revisited. It did not fix everything. It did not rewrite the past, but it opened doors that had been sealed shut for too long. The girl continued her program, telling her classmates about the day she stopped a billionaire with nothing but her voice and her mother's truth. She learned that power did not always look like money or titles. Sometimes it looked like standing still and refusing to be invisible. Years would pass. Lives would move on. But that moment in the lobby stayed with all of them. A reminder that humanity can interrupt even the most important meetings, and that listening, truly listening, can change the direction of more than one life. In the end, kindness did not arrive with applause or headlines. It arrived quietly, in a building of glass and steel, through the courage of a child and the honesty of a mother. Their voices did not demand. They invited, and that invitation created a ripple that reached farther than any boardroom decision ever could. If this story stayed with you, take a moment to reflect on who you might be walking past without noticing. Share your thoughts or your own experiences in the comments. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the truths we need most, and when we choose to hear them, we don't just change one moment. We change the way we move through the world.